What are you doing in my basement? You got a problem? Really? Oh, you got a gun. Really? In my basement?
What's up, guys? How's it going? It is Matt here. So, what'd you guys think of the intro? Had a little fun with it. But anyway, I want to talk about dry fire practice, guys. So, we're going to get right into it when it comes to dry fire practice. Um, the difference between being a good shooter and being a exceptional shooter is this little thing called dry fire practice, right? This little thing called dry fire practice. Now, obviously, we need to go to the range. Obviously, we need to go shooting a lot in order to get good at what we do. You have to learn how to manage the recoil, you got to manage the grip, you got to learn how to use your gun, you learn how to shoot your gun. But ranges can be very expensive, especially if you're like me and you wish you could go all the time. There was a time that I used to be able to go every single week, and I'd be doing 100 to 300, sometimes 500 rounds a week down range. And that adds up, all right? It absolutely adds up, and it eats away at your bank account. You get good training, but it eats away at your bank account. So what you do to supplement that, all right, that whole process of it, and this is what you do to become a good shooter. And if you ask any professional shooters out there, they'll probably tell you they spend a lot of hours doing this. That is dry fire practice, okay? Dry fire practice is basically what you do is you follow every single safety rule, all right? Every single safety rule, however, you clear your firearm, all right? You check the chamber, you check the mag well, you make sure that firearm is completely safe. You have it pointed in a safe direction, and you practice in that safe direction, following every safety rule. And then you use targets, all right? Use targets. You can do everything from trigger pull to magazine manipulations to manipulations in general. You can just you can do all of that through dry fire practice, and that's how you get good at shooting. That's how you become a better shooter. Now, one of the biggest mistakes, and I learned this when I went to 6 Hour Academy, one of the biggest mistakes people make is after they go through all these classes and they get the fancy stuff, they go home and they don't really practice the stuff that they get. Then they come back to the next class and expect to be just as good, and they realize, oh, I'm not doing so good this time around. The reason behind that is because after they finished, they weren't doing the dry fire practice, practicing that stuff that they were actually taught in that specific class or whatever they were doing. They didn't actually practice that dry fire practice and work it into their daily routine. Now, the important, as a Marine, the first thing that we did in boot camp, after you go through boot camp, you have 3 different phases. The second phase is that you start the rifle range phase, and you go to weapons battalion out there in Toynup Palms, that was once active duty, but in Parris Island boot camp, you go to weapons battalion, and then you do training out there. You do range time. Now, we have an entire week dedicated to dry fire practice that is called grass week. All right, and literally for all week long, you are literally laying in the hot grass, all right, pulling that trigger and going click every single time, resetting it, click, 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 all day long, to the point where you are so sunburnt and so bit up and down by sand fleas, you are just miserable. But you learn fundamentals, you learn the basics, you developed training habits, you developed good habits. Now, the entire time you're doing this, we obviously had drill instructors and PMIs going around making sure we were doing everything good. The PMIs, that's basically like the marksmanship instructors in the Marine Corps. So basically, they would go around, they'd be checking and make sure we're doing everything right and following through with those fundamentals, following through with your sight alignment, sight picture, following through with your breathing, following through with your natural point of aim, following through with your trigger pull, following through with your follow through. They make sure you're going through that process nonstop to the point where all you need to do is go to the range, and all those fundamentals you develop during those hours upon hours of dry fire practice, you take the range with live rounds, and it's amazing what it can do for you as a shooter. It can really make you from an all right shooter to a good shooter, or to a good shooter to a great shooter, from a great shooter to a phenomenal shooter. All right. Ask Jerry Mitchell how he got so fast with his trigger finger. Think it's just a natural thing, or do you think he did hours upon hours of dry fire practice mixed with range time? So dry fire practice is very important. Now I'm going to show you a couple basic things that you need to do just to start your dry fire practice. I'll give you a couple of training tools, what actually comes in handy and actually kind of makes it fun, because after a while it does get kind of boring. Now the first thing you need to do, now I cleared all my firearms prior to the video. I always do that before I do a video. Now I'm a certified instructor. I would also what you would be called a professional. I've taught a lot of people how to shoot, or a ton of people how to shoot. So that's why I'm doing this stuff right here in a controlled environment. It's a pretty damn safe environment. So for all the internet range safety officers out there, chill out. This will be all right. So first thing I'm going to do is, this is my Glock 19 here. All right, this is just one of the guns. So first thing I'm going to do is, you want to do this every single time you do dry fire practice. You want to check that chamber. Make sure the mag well is completely empty. So you check down there, make sure you're good to go in here. All right, and then you put it in your holster. And then what you do is you take every source of ammunition, whatever the source of ammunition is, like this right here, and put it in a separate place, all right? Or remove it from your magazines and use those magazines, because you might be needing those magazines for dry fire practice. And you keep them out of the area where there can't be any mix-ups, so you don't have a bang when it should be a click, all right? So you remove the magazine, you clear the firearm, you remove the magazine. Now there's a couple things you might want to invest in when it comes to this, and I'll show you my little training bag of goodies here. So a couple things you really want to invest in when it comes to this is snap caps. Okay, snap caps. Okay, it looks like a bullet. It's the right calibers. You see mine are pretty darn worn out. All right, what these are is basically practicing rounds. You can load these in the magazines. You can do all kinds of manipulations. You can do type 1 malfunctions, type 2 malfunctions. You could do all of this stuff with this. You can do reloads with snap caps, all right? And what it'll do is it'll protect your striker a little bit, protect your hammer, whatever it is, and it just helps out just a little bit. But these right here are a great little investment. They're not cheap, unfortunately. I think it's weird, but these things actually come pretty expensive, like 13 bucks a box or something like that. But they come in different calibers, so make sure you have the right caliber. So you have that, the snap cap, and then you have this type I'm not the most fond of, but they work right here. All right. So this is mainly for reloading and stuff like that. But if you're actually, this one you can see it's already been popped out a little bit, is if you actually pull the trigger and the hammer goes down, striker goes, it'll go boop, this thing will come out and it'll get stuck in your chamber. However, it's good for like doing your reloads and stuff like that. Now, another thing that I do, and I highly recommend this, guys, this is kind of my secret to it, and you saw it in my little intro here, laser trainers. Okay, laser trainers are the way to go. One, you can make it fun, all right? And two, when you're doing your training, you actually get that feedback on the target. Now, there's different things you can do. There's like phone apps that you can do it through. Like when I got the iTarget Pro, there's like a phone app that you go to and it grades your scores. You could look afterwards. Or you could just do it on targets that you set up, all right? You can do it on targets, or like, just small little targets where you can just practice those fundamentals. All right, and they come in handy. And the way how they work is you just insert it into the chamber. I'll show you real quick. Once again, make sure we are cleared. All you have to do is take it, make sure it's pointing in the right direction, insert it into the chamber like this, and then you close it, all right? Now, it will look like there's an actual bullet in there, all right? It'll look like it's a bullet in there, but that's not an actual bullet. That's a laser bullet. The way how this works is you use it just like you normally would, and then you, boom, and it shoots a laser on whatever the target is. So it's just like that. Now, the only downside to that, the only thing that kind of a pain in the butt, but it's a training thing that you work through. It also helps you a little bit like gross motor skills, we could say that. It's like you have a striker fired pistol, okay? After you pull that trigger, it goes click. You can't pull the trigger again, so you gotta rack it. That's why there's a little O-ring in there that actually holds it in the chamber. So I can actually use it again, see? All right, and you do everything from follow through. Watch, pull the trigger, boom, holding the trigger back, stays in the trigger. You can do everything with that. That's how it works for these, all right? The same thing goes if you're a 1911 fan like me. So first things first, check that chamber, check the mags well, make sure you are clear. Then you take your little laser trainer like this, and once again, you insert it into the chamber, just like that, and send it forward, all right? Now this one makes it just a little bit easier, all right? Because this is a single action pistol. So basically what it will do is you'll pull the trigger, all right, boom. You pull the trigger just like that. And then what you do is from there, all you have to do is cock the hammer again. Pull the trigger, cock the hammer again, pull the trigger, all right? And that's how you work it with like a single action pistol. Now, if you have a double action pistol, you could just do that all day and you're gonna have red lights all the time. It'll actually help you get better training in for your actual double action trigger pull. But you get tools like this, guys, and I'm telling you, if you get the tools like that, this will seriously help you step up your game when it comes to shooting. So I highly recommend you doing this, guys. Do your dry fire training. Do your dry fire training. You get a lot of repetition, a lot of holster draws. You get everything you need for the range or for defensive situations. You can get that doing dry fire training. Now, I still recommend, obviously, you have to go shooting. And obviously, it's a really good idea to go out and get some training from a professional. So you go out, get a training professional, and then right after that, after you've done your weapons maintenance, from that on, develop, put it into your cycle, okay? Put it into your schedule. Dedicate, whether it's 30 minutes a day or maybe 3 times a week or whatever, to dry fire practice, practicing everything that you just learned in those classes. And I'm telling you guys, if you do this, okay, you will become such a great shooter. You'll become a much better shooter than you already are. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about me, guys. If you would like to support this channel, go check me out on Patreon. The link will be down below in the description. You can help support this channel, whether it's $1 a month or whatever it is. It goes a long, long way. Now, remember, guys, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and protect each other. Take it easy.